Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Strege, and here I have another interview for you folks out there. I want you all to welcome Todd Braley. Is that how you say your name?
Yes, sir. That's how you say it.
So why don't you tell me, first of all, where you're from and how did you get involved in making films?
Well, I'm originally from Bay City, Michigan, and I got interested in filmmaking when I was probably about, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. I'm I'm an older guy, and I used to watch the television show that was on Sunday nights, The Wonderful World of Disney.
Okay.
And I originally wanted to be an animator. I would really like to draw when I was a kid, and that was something that I really wanted to pursue. And I did a lot of drawing, and my mother encouraged that and pushed myself all the time to she pushed me to draw all the time. And then, of course, you get into school, you take art classes, and um, my mom entered me in this art contest thing that she found in the what was that, the TV guide. And it was that one that was like, draw this pirate and you could win this, or draw this dog and you could win this.
Okay.
Um, and so I don't remember what it was. I think I drew the dog, and wound up getting this drawing class thing rolling, and they would mail you um, the the lessons. You'd do them and then send them back, and they would tell you, next time if you did this, this would help. So it helped me to kind of develop my drawing and my cartooning skills, I guess. But then at the same time, I was also watching, my parents would watch television shows like SWAT and Starsky and Hutch and Beretta, Policewoman, stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that stuff too. And so I started, trying to do my homework as much as you could do in the 70s, about filmmaking. And my grandmother gave me my first Super 8 camera,
Okay.
and it just kind of went from there. As I got older, I got a weekend scholarship from my art class at the high school I went to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. And so I took the Saturday filmmaking classes there, but kind of fell out of it after I graduated from high school, because I was hoping I was going to be able to go to Art Center, and my grades weren't good enough,
Okay.
and so they told me, no, you can't come here. And it's like I had spent 2 years going there on the weekends, and I knew everybody, but I guess there was one person that I didn't know, and that was the one that made the decisions.
I hear you on that. So,
So
um, now that we've gone to into a little bit of background on who, how you got into filmmaking, who would you say has inspired you the most so far? I mean, in films.
Well, I mean, as far as inspiration from other movies and directors, I mean, I'm a huge Stanley Kubrick fan. I, I mean, I was watching Kubrick movies when it wasn't cool to watch Kubrick movies. Um, now he's the staple. Before he was Satan. and um, and I didn't care, you know. I mean, I thought at 17 years old that 2001 was just this like amazing masterpiece, you know. And I'm not an artsy fartsy guy, you know. I don't look for deep emotional or, you know, all these weird kind of theories about movies. And to me, it's more about what I enjoy watching and how the movie makes me feel versus trying to, you know, come up with some kind of, oh, you know, this film, it was just so avant-garde and all that. I don't do that shit. I make movies to evoke emotion out of people, and that is why I do what I do. And that's, you know, so in watching Kubrick, um, and then of course Spielberg. I mean, when I saw Jaws for my 13th birthday, at that point, that's kind of what solidified the fact that I wanted to make movies. Um, Jaws to this day is still my favorite film of all time.
Okay.
Um, and you know, William Friedkin, of course, who did The Exorcist, you know, old John Ford movies. You know, believe it or not, you know, people think that Clint Eastwood started directing, you know, when it came to Pale Rider and stuff like that, when in reality, I mean, the guy's been directing since the early 70s, you know. So Clint Eastwood was always a big influence as well. I learned a lot from him, and then Scorsese. You know, I mean, it's, you know, those are my kind of like top of the line ones. You
Okay.
know, but then you throw, you know, Tarantino. Um, there's stuff about Tarantino that I love. I haven't liked anything he's done in the last few years, starting with Django. Everything from Django on, I just was not. I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
Um, I think he fell off the wagon of what he was really good at.
Okay.
Um,
So ultimately, once you got into filmmaking, your first short film ended up being called Silence, correct?
yeah, I mean, if you want to, you know, if you want to go back even a little bit further, I mean, when I fell out of making movies for a long time, and in 2006, a friend of mine talked me into making a this movie called China White.
Okay.
Um, and that was kind of my reintroduction to filmmaking, because I had worked in Hollywood in post production from 1994 until 1990, late or mid 99. And I I had basically given up on filmmaking at that point because I was just done. You know, I worked in Hollywood, so when I lived in California,
Hmm.
and it was such an eye-opening experience, and it was such a horrible, um, an amazing, and I always say this, an amazing and an extremely horrible experience, because it was great when you were learning about the things that were helping, and it was horrible when you were finding out the type of attitudes and backstabbing, and, you know, just the competitive bullshit that went on. And I was just done. And then 2007 or 2006, this buddy of mine talked me into making this movie called China White,
Okay.
and we that was a feature film. We made that, and then it kind of started back up again. So, and Silence, actually, the short film version of Silence was something that came in 2010
Okay.
out of um, my oldest child used to come out for visits when he was younger, and we would make all these little movies when he would come out. And that particular one um, was something that we decided that it was going to be something instead of just being a I don't want to call it a throwaway because it really wasn't. It was more of a uh, it was more of a um, we wanted to do it right just because of the subject matter. So
Okay.
we decided to kind of put the effort into it and create, what that particular version of Silence came to be, and it didn't win any awards. It got a lot of honorable mentions when I used to do film festivals, but um, as a whole, that that film kind of reignited and put us where we are now.
Okay. So, did you meet any actors that you would work with later on that particular film? And where did you start filming that particular film?
Well, we shot Silence here in Grand Junction, where I live, and I've been
Okay.
living here since August of 1999. Um, Nobody. It's kind of funny because anybody that's in that movie, with the exception of my youngest daughter, who played the young version of Caitlin, I don't talk to anymore. The woman that was that played Dr. Gregory, she was my wife at the time, and now she's an ex-wife, and we don't converse anymore. um, and the actress Whitney, I haven't talked to her in probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So, you don't always stay in touch with everybody that you work with. And sometimes, I've had this happen. Sometimes things happen that people don't agree on and people don't agree with. And, not every movie you make has a happy ending after the movie is done. It's unfortunate, and it happens all the time
Oh yeah.
with filmmakers that something happens, somebody says something, somebody does something, and things don't end well. So, that particular movie, it reignited some stuff. And I mean, that version of Silence gave us the most recent version of Silence, because from that I sat and took, I don't know, I think it was probably a couple years to get that get that script where it is,
Okay.
that I felt it was ready to be on camera.
Okay. And ultimately, from Silence in 2013, you went and did a film called Liar. Why don't you tell me about that experience? Um,
Liar actually came. I was trying to think the other day. Somebody had asked me where I came up with the idea, and I honestly, I wish I could remember where I came up with the idea. um, Liar actually was written. It's kind of funny. I was a DJ at the local strip club here, because I've been a DJ since I was 16.
okay.
And so I was a DJ. I'm not going to say I was a DJ on and off my whole life. I was pretty much a DJ since I was 16, and that's how I made, that's how I paid the bills a lot of the time throughout my life. And I had gotten rid of my DJ business at that point because I wanted to focus on making movies and doing video production, making commercials and stuff like that locally here. And a friend of mine who was a DJ at the local strip club said, "Hey man, the guy that we had on Sundays quit. And I know you're really good at, talking on the mic and stuff." And I thought, you know, I worked in a strip club for about a week when I lived in California, and that was just like the worst experience. Everybody's like, "Dude, you worked at a strip club." No, it sucked ass. It was like it was horrible. But I just told him, I said, okay, well, if it's one night a week, I said I can handle that. And so I was working there, and you know, the money wasn't horrible. I wasn't gonna bitch, but there was a lot of downtime, you know, because you'd set up music, you were playing everything off the computer. So you'd set up the music
Hmm.
and you'd have 10 minutes almost to that you're doing nothing. Um, while the girls are dancing. So I again, I can't remember how I came up with the idea for Liar, but we I wrote the script
Hmm.
in those during those 10-minute breaks I was working at the strip club. um, and yeah, that was another one of those interesting projects that unfortunately, due to attitudes and egos and lack of knowledge, that a lot of things fell off after that movie came out as well. But you know, I mean, it was a learning experience for me. You know, I used a lot of actors who had never acted before,
Okay.
and I was able to pull performances that other people wouldn't. There were other people that would not give these actors, you know,
The
the
time.
opportunity to be to be able to be on film because they didn't think they could act, or they because they hadn't acted, they they blew them off. So I gave them the opportunity to be on camera and be not just in the background, but be, you know, in the forefront. And, you know, their names are, you know, they're on the front of the box. Um, they are starring roles, not as supporting or even featured roles. So
What
um,
what do
that
you before you go on? What do
yeah,
you feel that Liar was about to you? Um,
Liar to me was about greed. Liar to me was about people's thought process when you're given, and I guess this kind of goes back, when you're given an opportunity for something to, you know, either be a part of something good or be a part of something, you know, that'll get you out of a situation. Um, you know, that assumptions are really bad things.
okay.
Assumptions make up, you know, a lot of assumptions are the reasons I feel as though our society is so upside down, backwards, and you know, entitled, and you know, people are so fucking stupid these days because of assumptions. Um, and that's a lot of what Liar was about. It was about assumptions. It was about greed. It was about, you know, somebody giving you something, and then you slap away an idea, or you slap away this opportunity that all somebody's trying to do is help you, and because of your ego or your fear, um, and those types of emotions, you know, put these women into the situation that all somebody was trying to do was help them, and let their they let their egos and their greed and their fear take over their existence, and they wound up worse off than they had originally been in. So
Sounds like an interesting concept. Um, uh, where did you film the feature film Liar? Again, in Junction, where you are.
everything, I'll just say, I'll save you that question for everything. Every movie that we've shot has been here in Grand Junction,
Okay.
Colorado.
Okay.
Everything that we've shot, nothing has been shot anywhere else. I think the only thing that I've gone out of state to shoot in the last 12 years has been when I went to California to direct the Great White Band music video called Big Time.
Okay.
Everything else has been shot here in Grand Junction.
Okay. So ultimately, how was the film's reception once you put it out there? Out there, did you?
Well, Liar was pretty well accepted because we actually did we did a little tour with it. We went to Louisiana and had two theatrical releases and sold out every time that we did it, every time that we showed it, and not only sold out, um, we had to get bigger theaters to show it, and that was a pretty cool thing to be able to see a project that you did, you know, blown up onto a movie theater screen. So it was, you know, it did well there, and then DVD, it did okay. It did better once Amazon started started their streaming platform, and so we put it on there, and it did pretty well on there as well.
Cool, awesome. Moving on to documentary that you did on one of your favorite films. Actually, it's more based on well, I'll just say it, Jaws fanatics. So I'm assuming that it's about the fans.
Yes. Yeah, you know, Jaws Fanatics was a funny project because what had happened was there was a documentary that had been in the works for many years, and it was called "The Shark is Still Working," and there were some guys that did this documentary, and it had been a fairly long documentary, and there was an entire section that talked about the Jaws fans, which, you know, I thought was pretty cool. And so I was anxious to see the movie, and everybody that had seen it had said, you know, wow, this movie is great. You know, it's got some stuff we've seen, some stuff we haven't seen. And then what happened was Universal bought the rights to the movie and put it on the Blu-ray release of Jaws. And they went in and they chopped the hell out of it and cut out everything that had to do with the fans, um, leaving just the celebrity interviews. Um, and even then, I guess they even cut stuff out of it as well because it's only like an hour and 5 minutes, I think now, whereas before it was almost 3 hours long. And so they went ahead and, you know, they cut all that stuff out. Well, you know, as a Jaws fan, and there were people that I knew that were interviewed, so it was kind of one of those things you were really excited to see your friends in this on this Blu-ray, and then
You don't get to see them.
yeah, they cut everybody out. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we just had our own movie? There was a Facebook page called Jaws Fanatics, spelled Fin Addicts, and I was a part of that group, and I just said to everybody, I said, "Hey, man, how would you guys feel about uh, us having our own documentary?" I said, "Here's how we do it." And everybody was all game for it, but then they're like, you know, because you had people that were, you know, that live in Europe, that live in, uh, you know, Spain and the UK, and, you know, everybody, you know, a lot of people live on the other side of the planet. And then you've got the people that are spread out all over the United States. And so I just said, we can do a few things. We can use Skype. We can, for people that have their own video cameras, they can shoot their own stuff. A couple of people, the iPhone was just starting to come into play at that point. So people, some people use their phones because you could get really high quality resolution on their phones. I gave them a screenshot of what I wanted the interview, how I asked them to, set their cameras up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of went from there. And that literally cost nothing to make. I mean, there was nothing, there was no money spent. It was all my time in editing, and that was it, So it was definitely one of those projects that, that when we got done with it, and that has actually two cuts of it as well. It has a 3 hour and 10 minute cut, which I have available right now that we're selling for like the next month, and then it has a 2 hour cut, which which used to be on Amazon Prime, and they took it down. Um, During the indie movie purge
Yeah.
that they're still doing at this time. Um, but so yeah, it did really well. It did really well online. It did really well in DVD sales. Um, and it was a fun project to make because people got to see and hear our stories about, our favorite movie. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the whole point of it. So it was pretty cool.
Cool. And then you went on to do what I would call a web series called Surviving the Undead, correct?
Yes. Surviving the Undead was kind of funny because that actually came out of my two younger daughters that had decided to they wanted to do a zombie type show on YouTube. And so they had shot these little 5 and 10 minute vignettes of these two sisters who didn't get along, but now had to learn to survive and get along during the zombie apocalypse. And what was cool about it is because there were no zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything was sound effects, and it was just the two of them. And that, um, from there, a friend of mine saw one of those and said, "Hey, we should do a series. We should make like do a web series." And actually, web series were not as prevalent when we first started working on that. They were just starting to come into play, and
Okay.
so we sat down and started writing scripts, myself and a gentleman named Johnny Call. Um, and we shot the first episode, and we're in the process of shooting a second episode. And we had some problems with some of the actors, and so I just shut the whole thing down because I don't do egos, and I don't encourage anybody that has to deal with egos. If you continue to feed somebody who's got an ego, I would rather just pull the rug out from under you than continue to feed that. So that's what I did. I pulled the rug out from under the whole thing and then started over like a year and a half later. And I was working at a TV station, and I bought airtime on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. And um, we showed our television show. It became a web series after the fact, but it started off as actually a television series you could watch on TV in Western Colorado.
Nice.
So it was on television, and then we chopped it up and created a web series from it, and then wound up winning the best web series at the Magic City Comic Con in Miami, which is the second largest Comic Con in the United States.
Nice.
So,
Did you? Who did you go to as actors and actresses in that second production of Surviving the Dead?
we had a lot of local people. I had started to build a
Acting database.
yeah, kind of a network, and so we wound up getting a lot of local people, and we had we had people that auditioned that never acted. We had people that had never been in anything like that show up to be zombies. There was one point that we were shooting that we had a crew of 10, the cast of 6, and 100 zombies at my house in February in Colorado. And it was that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that, and there were people that became actors because of that wanted to learn how to do more where acting is concerned. That there was one young lady, Kiera Hall, who plays the lead uh, in the show. She plays Deb in the show, and she had never acted. Her plan was not to do anything with movies or television or acting or anything. And after she did Surviving the Undead, she got a full ride scholarship to the SCAD University in Georgia, and has been there for the last 2 years, I think.
Okay.
And but all the actors were all local. I think I brought one actor in from out of town, and that was Jose Masonette, who's from New Jersey, and a good friend of mine that I've known for quite a long time. And we did have people that were extras that actually drove, from 5 hours away every weekend to be a zombie in the show, which was really cool. So, pretty much everything that we do is local. I rarely when we did Liar, there were some out of town actors that I did. I brought somebody from Los Angeles. I brought a couple from Louisiana, one from Ohio, and but the majority of it, the crew was local, and so yeah, I try to use as much local talent as I can. It doesn't always come together, the way you want it to, but you know, for as many people that say that they are making movies that live here in town, I have yet to see any movies besides myself and one or two other guys that are doing stuff. Everybody else they just jack their jaws a lot, or they teach at the local college,
Okay.
although they've never shot a movie. Somehow they're teaching filmmaking, which is just beyond me. I never got that. Never understood that.
Uh, After surviving the Undead, you went about and directed a feature called Misfit. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what that film is about? Because you're filming a sequel, correct?
Yeah, we're actually we're working right now to try and get some funds to shoot the sequel. The original Misfit came from a photo shoot that we did with a young lady named Heather Sudeckham. And she wanted to do like this horror movie kind of photo shoot. And I was trying to, hone my photography skills at that time just because I had taken a few pictures and really wanted to just kind of be able to hone that so I can use it to my advantage to be able to make my own movie posters and stuff like that. And so we did this horror movie photo shoot, excuse me, and we were on our way back. Now we did this, I don't know how we wind up doing everything in February because it's cold as hell. And um, but we did this shoot, and then we were on our way back from the photo shoot, and she Heather said, "Boy, wouldn't it be cool if I went to school like this? Everybody would be scared of me, and nobody would bully me anymore." And I was like, "That's an interesting concept."
Okay.
And I started thinking about, the whole bullying and um we we wound up coming up with the premise of it, and then I sat down, and in a couple of months I wrote the first draft of the script and went from there.
Okay. And how how was the reception after you finished the film? Did it did it go anywhere?
Well, I mean, I was pretty blown away at the reception that we got, because we had, when we showed it initially, we we had sold out both showings of it, and which was, 100, it was 100 plus seat venue, and we sold out both both viewings of it. And from there, my friend Brian T. Shirley, we actually had it on got it on Amazon, and it did pretty well on Amazon. We didn't get rich from it, but the movie cost us $2,500 to make, and we pretty much made our money back at that point. And my buddy Brian T. Shirley, who is a comedian, said, "Hey, we'd like to we'd like to go ahead and have you put your movie in our film festival." Well, I'm not a film festival guy anymore. I don't see the benefit in in film
In
festivals
getting
at
your
all.
festival.
Just because we have so many platforms to be able to show our movies, to me, what is the point of a film festival when you have all of these platforms for, double the amount of people to see, and plus less than 1% of any indie film gets picked up for distribution. And then when you do get picked up for distribution, you get screwed. So, and a lot of times nothing comes out of it. So instead of trying to,
Spend all your money on film
yeah,
festival.
instead of trying to hunt those down, let's start making money on it now, and we get to keep it. Um, but Brian had asked if I wanted to put our movie into into his film festival he was doing, And I thought, okay, I put it in there for Brian. Um, from that, we didn't win. I think we got like third place, but one of the distributors liked it so much that he asked if he could distribute the movie. And I
Okay.
figured, we had it out. It had been out for almost 2 years. And I thought, I mean, what do you got to lose? Why not? Let's just go ahead and do that. And so it's been Misfit went with the Chamois Media Group, SMG, and has been doing okay, not too bad on their platform. They've been selling DVDs that have been available at Walmart, Target, and Best Buy, as well as Amazon. Um, which I'm happy with it. I'm glad that it still has a life. And recently, with the with Misfit 2 now coming into play, which was kind of weird because I had no plans to make a sequel, and no plans to make not only not make a sequel, but no plans to make a franchise out of it. And my buddy Will Garay, who is playing one of the serial killers in Misfit 2, said to me, "Oh, you need to come up with a sequel." And I was like, "Dude, I got no interest in sequels." I said, "Sequels suck." I mean, look what happened to the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Look what happened to Friday the 13th. Look what happened to Halloween. I said, "I'm not doing a fucking sequel." And he goes, "Well, oh, you need to do a sequel. Come on, man. Come on." I said, "Okay, fine." I said, "You come up with an idea for a sequel." I said, "I'll think about it." So he came back a couple days later and he said, I got an idea for a sequel. And I said, "Okay, what is it?" And he said, "West Side Story with serial killers." And I went, "Okay, you're not talking like a musical kind of thing." He said, "No, no, 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 no." He says, "Just the territorial type situation." And that actually kind of piqued my interest. And he and I sat down and started, kicking around ideas. And then I wrote an outline, and that's what we now have is, we have the original Misfit crew now have competition. And that's kind of where we're at now with with this particular sequel. So
Okay.
we're waiting to see, but I've also made the decision that, because everything that we had done, everybody had, volunteered their time. Um, and I wanted to start making these projects and start making these movies to where uh, people are getting paid, because it's to make a feature film even for 5 or 6 days. I mean, the original Misfit was a 9-day shoot.
Mhm.
Everybody's still working for free, and that's a lot of time. 9 days, and it wasn't even 9 days straight. It was weekends. So you got to figure we did four weekends and actually one pickup day that was actually kind of a conglomerate of several. I mean, if I wanted to be literal, I could say that it was a 14-day shoot, but combined with those other days, I'd shoot a half an hour here. I'd need an insert shot, and I'd shoot a little bit. I'd have one of the actors come over to the house and get an insert shot, of a hand picking something up or stuff like that. So, I mean, collectively, it was one whole day of shooting. So that's why I say it was a 9-day shoot. But I just don't feel like everybody should have to continue to volunteer their time when everybody that's been around me and stuck with us, I think it's time for them to get paid, as well as, it's time for me to make a couple of bucks off it as well, because basically the money that we make off these things just turn around and go back into the projects.
Mhm.
And I'd like to be able to pay, a couple of bills from that every once in a while. So, so basically, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise, about 50,000 to do Misfit 2. And we've been pretty damn lucky. We had Joe Quintanilla come on board, who has had a hand in the some of the Sharknado movies, and he brought people. He brought some names to us. He brought us Lynn Lowry, who worked with George Romero on The Crazies, and Deborah Lamb, who was in RoboCop, and a lot of old school horror movies, and Eileen Dietz, who was in The Exorcist. She was Linda Blair's double, but then also physically is in the movie as everybody likes to refer to her as Captain Howdy, which is that scary ass white face that shows up in 2 frames that scares the piss out of you, that has still haunted me in my dreams my entire existence from the first time I saw that movie.
Nice.
So, and she thinks that's hysterical, by the way. Um, and then, and so that's, because of that, and I want to make sure that we have, I don't want these people to have to, even though a couple of them have said, well, why don't we just see if we can get the movie made and worry about it down the line. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want people to work for free anymore. I want to be able to get everybody paid, because to me, that is that's the legit way to go now. I feel like we've done the free thing long enough. Now it's time for everybody to start making some money at it.
Okay. So after you did the film Misfit, then in 2017 you recently did a short film called The Confession.
Yeah, the confession actually came out of watching an episode of Criminal Minds,
Okay.
and there was this interrogation that was going on, and I was kind of like, I started coming up with ideas for that, and I'm a big mafia movie fan, which is, that's like one of my favorite genres to watch. So actually yesterday I spent pretty much the whole day watching The Sopranos. So again, so yeah, so I thought, it'd be kind of cool to have a female hitman that maybe is badass, and but has never gotten caught, and now she's been caught, and now she's, these cops want to find out who her next hit is, and they're under a time constraint. So that's pretty much what the movie is about, and it's told from her point of view, which is kind of cool too, because she narrates the movie.
Okay.
So we did that. That's available in a DVD 4-pack of short films that we have.
Okay.
But that one was a lot of fun. Lacey, who played the female hitman, had never really acted before. She wanted to try her hand at it. She came in, she killed the audition, and then we just kind of went from there.
Okay. And then after you did the confession, you went and did or somewhere in between there, you did a couple of episodes of something called Zombie Squad.
Yeah, Zom Squad is kind of I'll just say this, Zom Squad is a sore subject right now.
Ah.
It was a lot of work for nothing.
Oh.
So I'll just say that. and then you can ask me something else.
Sounds like a plan. So, um, after that, I guess you did something called The Dance as a short film.
Yeah, actually, good friend of mine, Michael Bacon, had pitched me a bunch of ideas for some films, and he pitched me The Dance, and The Dance originally was a feature film, but I thought it was kind of extraneous as a feature, but I thought it would really have a great narrative as a short film, and so I just said, hey, can you take this, and this, and go back and create a short film from it. Not all writers are um, easily uh, what's the word? Easily navigated to take their work and cut it down. But he said he'd think about it and see what he could do, and he came back, and pretty much everything that he wrote for that short film version came on the screen, and that was fun. That was kind of like my Breakfast Club Pretty in Pink teenager movie. It was that was a lot of fun to make. The kids that were in it were awesome. They all, some of them had acted, some of them hadn't acted. We had parents that were like, "Oh, you should audition my son. You should audition my daughter," and blah blah blah. And so we did that. We had a good time with that. We had a good time with that, and that's something that's available online. Um, Never really did anything with it outside of that because I feel even though I directed it, it's not my film
Mhm.
to speak of. It's Michael Bacon's movie, and so if he wanted to go and do something with it or make money off of it or whatever, that was up to him. But it wasn't, I don't feel it was my movie to do that with. It was his. That was his idea. So, I feel that, and if he does something with it and wants to kick back to me, cool. But it was a type of project that I wanted to make, and you know, we did what
Cool.
uh we did what we did, and it was fun making it, and it turned out really well. And it was kind of cool because the place that we showed it at here in town, the Mesa Theater, has a capacity of, I think, sitting. I think their capacity is like 500, and we hit capacity when we
Right.
showed that movie. So it was really well received. We sold a lot of DVDs from it, and then just turned around and took the money and put it back into something else. So it was actually, we didn't so much sell DVDs. We I think we sold a couple, but we had made DVDs and gave them to everybody who was in the movie. So, and I think the reason we sold a couple is because the parents wanted to have one for grandma or something like that. So
Understandable. Now, your production company is called Infinity Media
productions.
Productions. Okay.
Yes.
When did you come up with the idea for your production company?
It was one of those things because I had, this was a long time ago when I made one of my first Super 8 movies. I had TB Productions, and it's TB, those are my initials. And then somebody made the joke, "Oh, TB, is that tuberculosis?" And I went, "Ah, shit. Okay." And so I never really came up with another one. And then when in the early 90s, I did a movie called Dark Side of the Mind, which plays out later here in life, especially recently. Um, a movie that we shot that unfortunately will never be seen due to my lack of being able to take care of the video, the footage. Um, but then I had this company that I called it sounds like totem, like totem pole, but it was my name and my buddy Tim's name. So Totim. So we called it Totem. Um, that didn't last very long. I think I used that. The last time I used that was on our movie China White. And
Okay.
then I don't know, I don't even remember where I came up with Infinity. Unfortunately, I'm not the only um, Infinity productions in existence. That's why I used media, um, because there's no Infinity Media Productions, because I also make, business cards and do graphics and,
Mhm.
with all the other production stuff that I do. So anyway, that's kind of where that came from. Like I said, I can't remember where the name necessarily came from. I think we needed a production company name for something, and I think I just said, let's just use this. So
I
it doesn't really mean anything, the possibilities are endless. I guess that's what you can say from that.
totally understand. Going on to evidently next you did a Christmas short film called Santa's Lap.
Yeah, Santa's Lap, that was funny because that one came from another visit from my oldest kid. And we were supposed, God, that was literally, we wrote the script in like 20 minutes because the script is literally 3 pages long. Um, and it came from when we went to the mall, and my oldest at the time I think was 15 or 16, and I said, come on, Peanut, why don't you go sit on Santa's lap, why don't you get his, and then we myself and my wife at the time were pushing, come on, you got to go sit on Santa's lap so we could get a picture, and I don't have any pictures of you on Santa's lap and blah blah blah. And um my wife at the time said, "Come on, do it for me." And my kid turned around and goes, "You're not my real mom. You can't make me do this." And so from that we came up with the idea, but I never was able to get it together to shoot, just because the mall doesn't let you just walk in the door and film anything. And I knew some people that worked at the mall, but it was like red tape and more red tape and more red tape. So I came up with the idea about a year ago to do it. And then I thought, we'll just do it in front of my house, because there are people that have setups in front of their house during Christmas that, show that have people, Santa Claus sitting out front giving out candy and all that stuff. So excuse me, I we just decided to do it here. Got out the Christmas decorations, went and bought a few more, and in one, that was one day. We shot we shot the whole thing, and we had a lot of fun with it just because it was a comedy. It was um, a holiday movie. So there, I've done my I've done my Christmas with the Cranks movie now.
I hear you on that. Now, did you use any actors or actresses that you used before? Um,
Yeah, actually, Chapin Favorman was one of the mean girls in Misfit.
okay.
Sean Murphy played Detective Martin Jonas in Misfit. He was Santa Claus. Um, Heather Carlson um, wasn't hadn't been in anything yet. I had just met her a little bit before that, And so she played the mom, and she actually wound up being what's her name? Lynn. She played Dr. Lynn Gregory in Silence, the feature film version.
Okay.
But everybody else was brand new. I mean, all the kids were friends' kids who brought them over, and and then Paul Sweeting actually, yeah, he played the elf taking pictures. He played Alden James in Misfit.
Nice. Moving on to another short film that you did called The Raven in 2018. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that project?
Well, I mean, that's Edgar Allan Poe's classic story, man. But I kind of decided I wanted to give it a little bit of a turn. I went with female actors to it, but then I also went with a a more of a death of a child tone to it. And so that one we shot that in one night. We had 5 hours at the location. It was the Two Rivers Winery here locally, and they gave us 5 hours to go in, and we used up all 5 hours. I mean, we went in there and just we literally we didn't stop from the time we walked in the door. I mean, the only time that I think we stopped for anything was to change batteries in the lights because we had battery operated lights. And so that was the only time that we stopped to do anything. And that one was a lot of fun. It was fun to be able to do somebody else's work or interpret Edgar Allan Poe's work. Um, and so yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one. That also was on that DVD of short films. That The Confession, Kill Show, and Rain are all on there together.
Which reminds me, I was going to ask you about Rain and Kill Show since while we're at it.
Okay.
How did you enjoy? How did you enjoy working with those two projects?
Well, I mean, Rain came up from an idea that that I had thought about when I went down to Louisiana and kind of saw the aftermath of Katrina. And I thought, what if somebody got stuck in the house? And I didn't know that there was anything. I didn't understand. I didn't know that there was actually a name for a fear of the rain, which is ombrophobia.
Really?
It's not a fear of water, it's actually a fear of the rain.
Huh.
And so I came up with the idea. It's like, God, what if you had somebody who is locked in a house for, 10-day storm? What would that do to somebody with ombrophobia? And so I did a little homework on it, and then took my own little sick twist that I like to do, and shot that. And Kiera Hall, who we had just come off of surviving the undead, and I asked her about playing that part, and she was like gung ho for it. She wanted to do it, and we shot that over a couple of days. And it's funny because the weather here in Colorado is like super what's the word I'm looking for? Bipolar. And, but we, of course, when we finally were able to shoot it, it was July. It was the hottest weekend on record in July, and we had to play it out um, like it was hurricane season someplace other than Colorado. And because I made it nowhere land, so I mean it was not I didn't say that we were somewhere specific. I just a girl is stuck in her house during a hurricane, and that was that. But we shot that over a couple of days, and I actually had that movie actually has been an on again, off again thing for many, many years, and we finally got around, and it's had a couple incarnations of actresses as well, and we wound up finally being able to get it done with Kiera, and I had been collecting my own rain footage. So every time it would rain, I would shoot something different. I would go somewhere different in town and get shots. I'd plexiglass over the top of the camera and aim the camera up towards the sky, with something in the foreground. I took GoPro and threw it underneath the it was like pouring one day, and so I took the GoPro, put it in the waterproof deal, and there was a puddle that was forming out in front of the house from the rain gutters, and I threw it literally. I just turned the camera on and threw it in the puddle and let it run for 2 minutes. So I had a lot of rain footage. I used very little stock footage for the rain footage. There was just a couple of like really wide shots of stuff that I myself, there was no way I was going to be able to get that I used, but um, I had been collecting rain footage for like 3.5 years. So, and I used every bit of it. Everything that we shot is in there in one form or another. But it was the reception on that was really cool because it was different. And there was a gentleman that had reviewed it. From his name is Tim Gross from Gross Movie Reviews.
I know of him.
Yeah, he reviewed that, and he just called it, this awesome slow burn. And and that's when I looked at him like, yeah, that was a bit of a buildup, but when somebody's going crazy, it just not everybody just snaps.
Mhm.
So that one was a lot of fun. And then Kill Show actually came out of my youngest daughter, Brienne, um, throwing a fit because of something that happened at school. Um, and she got in the car. Well, let me put it this way. She was in Surviving the Undead. She played the younger sister, Kate. And when we shot Surviving the Undead, we went 6 months every single weekend for 6 months. And she, after we got done with that, she goes, "Dad, don't ask me to do anything ever again." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. That, I can handle that. I can live with that. You put a lot of effort and time." And so anyway, I went to pick her up from school, and she got in the car and she slammed the door, and she's like, "If you ever want me to play a serial killer in a movie, I am down." And I was like, okay, what happened? So she proceeded to tell me something that happened with somebody at school. And it's about a 10-minute ride from the school to our house. And by the time we got to the house, she and I had come up with the outline for Kill Show, and then I sat down and wrote the script, and got it together to shoot. Oh, you know what? I left out a part. She had also done the makeup that is in the movie on the clown. She had done this makeup the previous week, and I had gone in the bathroom to see what she was doing because she was sitting in it. Sometimes Brienne will just like disappear. We were sitting on the couch one night, and she just disappeared, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm just in the bathroom doing some makeup," because she dabbles in special effects makeup and regular makeup and stuff like that. So I go in there, and she's got this clown makeup she's doing, and it looks kind of creepy. So I went and grabbed my camera and started taking photographs. Well, all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, here, let me get some blood. Let me splatter some blood. Let me do this. Oh, I'm going to go change my shirt and put this on blood." So next thing you know, she and I are running around the house doing this photo shoot of her as the scary clown. And and then it was a few days later that she got in the car. She was pissed off about the something that happened at school, which then, I said, well, when she said, if you ever want me to play a serial killer, say the word, I'll do it. And I was like, okay. Well, as a matter of fact, I said I had an idea with that clown makeup, and so then we came up with the idea for Kill Show, and that was, I always try to base everything that we do in reality, even if not everything may be something that is the situations I try to make sure that are always real, even though maybe the outcome on some of it may not necessarily be real. But that was, people, things happen to people in their lives, and which brings them to do certain things, and that's kind of where we went with Kill Show, is to have somebody who originally tried to, do something to make, be a clown and make kids happy, but also had issues in their own existence, and then something else happened to push them kind of over the edge. And that's how we wound up with Kill Show, and that actually took us a couple days to shoot as well. We shot the whole thing at my house, um, and that was a fun shoot. But that has been the last movie that Brienne will ever appear in, because she has. I tried to get her in other stuff. So I tried to get her in Silence, and she would the feature length version of Silence, and she wasn't having it.
Totally understands. Evidently, you did a short film called "Me, a Rapist."
Yeah, that actually came after the original short film Silence. That was actually a movie idea that I came up with when I was in college. I used to take, I was taking, what do you call it, psychology classes, and we would get to watch psych evaluations in class. Stuff that had already happened and that was approved for us to watch in a psychology class. And we we were watching this movie, or these videos, and there was some guys that were being interviewed that were serial rapists. Um, and no, I don't have a fucking affinity for rape. Okay, even though I've been accused of that. It's pretty funny, because Silence was about a young woman who was raped, and then I literally within a few months did Me, a Rapist, and that was, everybody automatically assumed, there's that assumption thing that I had some affinity for rape, and I was like, no, it was just how things worked out. Um, but there was a guy in there in these videos that we were watching in my psychology class that had, um, he was, rapists don't usually have any kind of remorse in any way, shape, or form. This guy did, and it was interesting to me to see and hear a rapist that was having, remorse for
Mhm.
what he did. And back then, even then, I was thinking, oh wow, that's an interesting concept. That could be something for a movie. Now, at that point, there really hadn't been any movies about serial killers made, except for um, uh, the one with Michael Rooker in it, called Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer, was the movie that had been made. But that was it. There wasn't a whole lot that had been done at that point. And so I had started handwriting this script using some of the information that I had from this video that we watched. And I always, you always wonder what makes these guys tick. Why do they do what they do? What is the point? How do they get to where they are? And it's not to feel sorry for them because they do horrible things, but what gets them to that point? Why do they feel the need to do what they do? And so I took part of this guy's story and kind of went from there with it, and was very was I got lucky to get the young guy, Mike. Now I can't remember his last name. I apologize, but anyway, he came in and played that part. You know, it was amazing, and that was another movie that we shot in a couple of days. Um, and we won Best Director and Best Actor at the Yuma Film Festival with that. That was the last film festival I entered voluntarily. So I figured, we won them. Good. I'm done. I've won. I don't need to I don't need to enter them anymore. So
So two more projects I was going to ask you about, and then I
mhm.
figured I'd let you talk about anything else that you'd like to let the audience know about you, because I know that you've done some commercial work as well, correct?
Mhm.
So I saw a promo for Confession Part Two. Is that in the works?
Um, that's kind of up in the air right now. We kind of took what was going to be a sequel and are going to mesh it with the original Confession.
Okay.
And you know, I I thought we could do something to make it, kind of a born identity kind of project. I really like the Bourne movies.
Okay.
Um, I enjoy those a lot, and so that's up in the air right now. Um, it may come into play, it may not. It'd be nice to be able to make that, but then again, it all comes down to money because that one's got that one's got some it's got a lot of action stuff in it, and I just want to make sure it gets done right. I'm kind of adopted the philosophy, even at 54 years old, it's better to do it right than right now.
Okay.
So that one may come into play, it may not. I don't know. It's up in the air
And
right now.
I see you have a project in the works called Jeremesis. Would you like to say anything about that?
Well, we've shot 2 episodes, and I'm currently editing those right now. That was actually a project that my buddy Nathaniel Pavlicic came up with, which is about a guy who is basically the second coming, only he doesn't want the job. Um, and it's an awesome premise, and like I said, we've got a couple episodes shot that I'm currently cutting together in between all the paying jobs, and so that's something that we hope we're going to try and use that to sell,
Okay.
um, get somebody to buy into it, and then they can either buy the whole thing and go do whatever they want, or they can put money into it. I'm hoping to hit up Netflix with it, or Hulu, when we get it put together. So I got the first episode is about 3/4 of the way done. I just got to get that finished up.
Okay.
So Jeremesis is that's what that's about. It's a damn funny show. It is really funny, and it's the he's got 13 episodes of that thing written. So we were going to try and do it ourselves, but it just got to be too much.
I hear you on that.
So
So, now you have done some commercial work, correct?
yeah, I mean, I do a lot of local television commercials. I work on a web series with a local Toyota Land Cruiser company, and so I've done, God, if you want to add them all up from 1999 to now, I've probably done 1,000 commercials. Some of them have been award winning, some of them have just sucked. Some of them are bad. And that's only because of the people that you're working for, um, that don't want to listen to your expertise. I always love when somebody says, "I'm going to defer to your professional expertise," and then when you put in your professional expertise, then they don't want to listen to you. So I just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. Um,
Now you've done some music videos as well, correct?
yeah, yep, done a lot of music video. I think I got like 17 or 18 of those things that I've done over the years. Some of them have been rock music, some of them have been rap music.
Now, are there any projects in particular in either one of those two genres that you can pick out that you enjoyed working on?
You know what? I mean, the music videos are fun because, I mean, it's music. I mean, how can you go wrong there? I mean, I've had a lot of fun doing all of the music videos that I've put together. I would say, out of the rap videos, I would say I did one for my buddy Solo. The name of the song was called Something Like This, and that was we actually used that in the Surviving the Undead series, and Be All Solo also did all of the music for it. He scored the whole show. And then there was another rap video that I did for a guy named 5150. Um, and that was called Ballad of a Drunk Man. And that one turned out really well. That was a pretty deep song. It wasn't a comedic take on being drunk. It was actually a pretty hardcore take on alcoholism and that. So, and then I did another rap video with a woman who calls her name is Gina Marie. She calls herself Head Change, and the video that we did with her. Um, God, the name of the song leaves me. It's like one of my favorite videos that we did. But anyway, her video was a lot of fun to make and really garnered a lot of attention. And then, of course, then the one that I did for the band Great White. There's two versions of Great White out there. There's Jack Russell's Great White, who was the original singer for Great White, and he went off and has his own thing. And then Mark Kendall, the guitar player, um, and some of the original members went and had their own version. And they recently have a new singer named Mitch Malloy who's singing for him now. But um, I did that was I would say from that rock video was my favorite just because it is I can say, even if I never do another Great White video, even if I never make another music video, I can say that I was a part of rock and roll history
Oh
by
yeah,
being able to create a music video for a band as iconic as Great White. And I was pretty excited to be able to do that.
I agree. And that's something that you can take for yourself and be like, yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, literally, I mean, because, Great White has been established as, one of the great rock bands of our time. and to be able to be a part of rock and roll history um, in that way for me is really kind of cool. So, when people are looking up, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, or the Angel Song, or or any one of their other, one of their older songs, Stick It, whenever they look up Great White, my music video is right in there with all of their hits. So, and I actually helped create the album cover for that album, called Full Circle. I helped do the graphics and everything for that as well with my buddy Paul McPhee, who actually hooked me up with the guys from Great White. So, that's been a highlight in my career.
Nice. So, right now, right in this moment, I was going to ask you, where can we find your things things that you're selling at this moment? And I heard that you had three short films getting ready to be released digitally, correct? That nobody has ever seen from you, correct?
Well, actually, it's stuff that we talked about today, but people hadn't. They actually got taken down from, what do you call it? They got taken down from Amazon,
During the
like right after they got put up. They got put up there and they got taken down. So I had, and actually, Silence and Me a Rapist really has not been at the forefront of anything that I've ever put out there, because there's so much stuff going on with the Me Too movement and everything. I thought now would be a good time to bring those out, because I got lambasted hardcore for both the original short film version of Silence and Me a Rapist, because that I'm some kind of misogynist, woman hater kind of, horse shit, that everybody makes those assumptions again. And instead of asking what, the movies were actually about, they just automatically jump in and make assumptions or get triggered by stupid shit. So, um, but I put Silence, Me a Rapist, and Liar together. And you can actually watch all three of those at realhouse.org. If you look up Infinity Media, P as in Paul, RODS, you can find, it's called the Trilogy of Suspense. And they're all, it's the original Silence, Me a Rapist, and Liar all together. And then the new release of Silence is available for digital download, and also for VOD on Real House as well. And then you can see the dance. Surviving the Undead is on there. Jaws Fanatics. I do have Kill Show, Confession, and The Rain on there, and the original version of China White is on there as well. So if anybody wants to take a look at those, they're on there.
Okay.
The rental fee on these is very nominal. Um, so, everybody talks about supporting independent filmmakers, and somebody like yourself, you said, hey, I want to buy the movie so I can watch it, because you
Well,
support what we do.
I
And
myself prefer physical media over watching things digitally. I mean, I like to have it in hand, be like, yeah, I have it. Here it is.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
in
yeah.
physical form.
Well, and people are like that. Some people are like that, and so that's cool. But then there's people that
Prefer not to carry
just
a lot of baggage.
they don't care one way or another. They just want to watch the movie. So I've finally got around to putting Silence on a platform, because right now Amazon is not accepting anything. So from independent filmmakers now. So, they won a couple of awards, so now they're king shit, and the rest of us aren't good enough for their platform anymore. Um, anyway, Silence is available on there. You can also, if you want to buy the DVD, you can go to Infinity Media Productions store on Facebook, and the DVD for Silence is available on there, as well as the
Surviving the Undead.
Surviving the Undead is available on DVD, and then the Todd Braley short film collection, which includes The Raven, The Confession, Kill Show, and Rain, all together on one. So, yeah, those are the places that you can buy stuff. So, if you really support independent film and independent filmmaking, we, we don't make any money off these things. We're not making a whole lot of money off this stuff. So if you complain about spending $20 on a DVD for somebody who has to make everything themselves, um, then go ahead and go watch your crappy studio movies, because I'm sorry, I've just had it up to here with superhero movies and remakes and all that shit. So I'm kind of, yeah, I'm a bit salty on that shit. So yeah, if you support these, then be okay with, $2.99 for a rental and $4.99 to buy, or $20 or whatever, because we're not getting rich off of this. We're just doing it because we love to do it.
Definitely. All righty, man. Well, I appreciate your time and your availability to come on and talk about your works as a filmmaker, and hopefully you have as much success as you've been having lately. And I wish you luck in getting the Misfit Fits 2 in order. I'm looking forward to that when it comes out, or whatnot. And appreciate it, man.
Well, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate people that appreciate independent filmmakers. So, Dave, thanks a lot for everything that you do, and we really appreciate all your support, and anything I can do to help you, push forward with your reviews and your shows and stuff. Just scream at me, man. I got you.
Sounds good, man. Well, in any case, tomorrow, folks, on the channel, our podcast discussion will take on Pan's Labyrinth tomorrow night, and definitely keep a lookout for more things from Mr. Todd Braley. So thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Todd, why don't you say good night to the folks out there?
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you all listening, and don't forget, make sure you guys take care of those independent filmmakers, because sometimes their movies are even better.
I agree. Anyway, folks, have a great evening, and I'll talk at you later, folks.